Hello my stitchlings and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is TJ, aka Accused of Stitchcraft, and we are going to be making Bert. Isn't he so cute? I originally came up with him when I was trying to crochet the entire alphabet. Couldn't think of anything for Q except for Bert, probably because I just watched Wreck-It Ralph. So let's go ahead and make him. I used Bernat Blanket Brights. This is the color Carrot Orange, but really any bright orange will do. You will also need a 6.5mm hook and a stitch marker. I also preferred for Bert to use felt for the eyes, but you can use safety eyes as well. I just think he needs a little white outline for his eyes, but do whatever you like. All right, let's get started. If you would rather follow a written tutorial for this guy, it is available for free on my Ravelry or on my Instagram. Both of those are linked below. We are going to get started with 6 single crochet in a magic ring. If you don't know how to do the magic ring, I have this tutorial here that you can watch that shows a couple different ways to do it. Go ahead and do it whichever way you are most comfortable. And again, 6 single crochet in your magic ring. Now, when I work on amigurumi or plushies, instead of yarning over at first, I like to do my yarn under my hook, so kind of like I'm grabbing the yarn, and that will change the shape of your stitches from a V shape to more of an X shape. It makes your stitches tighter, uses a little bit less yarn, and kind of gives your plushies an overall more polished look. So I will be doing that throughout this tutorial. 5 and 6. Tightening up that magic ring. Next, we will be working 6 increases, so 2 single crochet in each stitch. My first stitch is always so tight. Here's my first one of round 2, so I'm going to go ahead and mark that with my stitch marker. Alright, moving on to round 3, we are going to be working a single crochet and then an increase and repeating that around. So first, a single crochet, and in the next stitch, an increase, so 2 single crochets in the same stitch, single, increase, and continuing that pattern around. For round 4, we will just be doing 18 single crochets, so a single crochet in each stitch around. At this point, your work might be curling a little bit. That's totally okay. Wrong side has your noodle on it from your magic ring. We always want noodle in the bowl, but mine keeps curling back and forth. I just want to make sure that I know that this is the right side. For round 5, we are going to do a single crochet and then a decrease. I like to work my decreases in the front loops, an invisible decrease. As you can see, our foot is starting to form. We're gonna go ahead and do one more round of the same decrease. So a single crochet and a decrease. There we have the first little ball of our first foot. We're gonna go ahead and stuff this now. And don't be afraid to use a good amount of stuffing. Make sure it's really firm and keeps its shape when you squeeze it. Now we're gonna go ahead and add some length to give it legs. So we are going to start off with a decrease. That's our first stitch, so I'm going to mark it. Then 4 single crochets and another decrease. So that round was a decrease, 4 single crochets, and another decrease. Next, we are going to work 4 rounds of 6 single crochet. So 6 single crochet 4 times. Next, we're going to fold this opening in half, and we're going to single crochet across to close it. So since we had 6 single crochets, we're going to do 3. One. 2 and 3. Then we're going to fasten off and leave a shorter tail because we will be crocheting the legs onto the body, so you don't need a ton of yarn for sewing. And there we have our first foot and leg. We're going to go ahead and repeat that process for the second foot. Alright, you should now have 2 finished feet, and we will move on to the body. The body is going to start off very similar to the feet with 6 single crochet in a magic ring. Next, we will be doing 6 increases. Then we will be doing a single crochet and an increase and repeating that around. So single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase. For round 4, we will be doing 2 single crochets and then an increase. So 1, 2, then increase. Round 5, we will do 3 single crochets and then the increase. 1, 2, 3, increase. And repeating that around. Next, for round 6, we'll be doing 4 single crochets and then the increase. So there's 1, 3, 4, then the increase. And again, we're repeating that all the way around. Next, rounds 7 through 12, which would be 6 rounds in total, we will just be doing 36 single crochets around. If you need help counting your rows, you can find your magic ring here, and then you can kind of see these lines that can help you count your rounds. So far we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we want to keep going until we have 12. Here's round 7. I will see you back here once we have 12 rounds. Okay, now that you have your 6 rows of 36 single crochet, you should be at 12 rounds in total. For round 13, we are going to do 4 single crochets and then a decrease. Next, we will be doing 3 single crochets and then a decrease. I'm going ahead and pause here and get most of the stuffing in there, not stuffed all the way yet, but just to get some in there while the hole is big enough for my hand to fit in. It will definitely need more stuffing, but I'm gonna leave it about there for now. Our next round is 2 single crochets and a decrease. In this next round, we will be attaching the legs. we are going to start with 2 decreases first. So there is our first decrease. We're going to mark that. That's the first stitch of our next round. And then another decrease. Then we will be attaching our leg. So I like to face my first leg this way with the tail towards the left. You're gonna go through the leg first, kind of put it on your hook, and then through the body. That's 1. Through the next stitch in the leg and the next one of the body. 2. Through the last stitch of the leg and through the body again. 3. Then we're going to do a single crochet in between the legs. So I like to move my tail up from my leg and do a single crochet in the body. Then I take my second leg. On this one, I like to point the tail towards the right. Insert your hook into the leg, then find the next unworked stitch of the body. 1, 2, and 3. Then we will go ahead and do 2 decreases. And 3 single crochets. Now here is where I like to pause, and I like to tie those tail ends from my legs together. And then I like to firmly stuff the plushie now. Now, Cubert's a little bit oblong, so I try not to stuff him too much so that you can kind of shape him to be a little more oval. And then for your last round, you can either do 7 decreases around, or you can weave your last round in and out. So I will show you how to do that. If you like to skip the last round of decreases and try that trick, I will show you in a moment. If you want to do the regular decreases, it's 7 decreases around. Then you will take your needle and you will sew only through the front loops of the last round, pull tight, and weave in your ends. I hate the look of the last round of decreases, and I recently learned this way of using a needle for your last round, and it kind of makes a more natural looking magic circle at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and fasten off and leave a long tail for sewing. Pull that through, and then I will show you how we skip that last round of decreases. So if you did the 7 decreases, normally you would just sew through all of the front loops. Because we're skipping that, What we want to do is sew through both loops of the stitch, and we're going to sew from the front and then from the back. From the front and from the back. And we just keep doing that around our last round of stitches. I start to pull a little bit before I've sewn all the way through, just so it's not too much tension. And again, you just tighten that up all the way. And I think it gives a cleaner finish than when I try to do those 7 decreases. Or really the decreases on any Ami plush that I'm finishing. And then you can go ahead and weave in your ends. I like to go into a close by stitch and kind of make a knot. I like to weave in around where that final magic ring was. And then weave it throughout the body. And snip the excess. Tuck that in. And now you have his body ready to sit. Super cute. Okay, let's get working on his nose. Now for the nose, we are going to use a magic ring again, but we want to leave a really long tail for our magic ring because we're going to use this tail to sew on his nose afterward. So give yourself a pretty good tail. I'd say at least 12 inches. And we're going to start our magic ring. Again with 6 single crochets. Then we are going to do 6 increases. Now we are going to do 6 rounds of 12 single crochet. So just 12 single crochets around, doing that 6 times. I will see you back here when we've completed our nose. All right, once you have completed those 6 rounds, your nose should be looking something like this. Remember, noodle in the bowl. This is our outside. That looks really nice compared to the stitches on the inside. Just not as pretty. So we want to keep our noodle in the bowl. And we are going to go ahead and fasten off. And then we need to weave in this end, and And we want to keep it pretty because this is the end of his nose. So I like to go into the next stitch from the inside and pull. And then through the back loop of the stitch before I fastened off. Now it won't quite be perfectly even, but it blends in just a little bit better. And then I kind of weave in my end on the inside of the nose. Now we want to keep these stitches on the outside, but we need this to sew our nose onto the body. So what we're going to do is attach our needle to our magic ring yarn, and we're just gonna feed it back out through the bottom of our nose so that we can have our yarn on this side to sew the nose. Now we're gonna take our body and we're gonna sew the nose between rounds 9 and 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So around here. And we're trying to sew to the second round of our nose. So not this first magic ring, but that second round where we did the increases. We're gonna be working through there and pulling that flat against the body. So I'm gonna skip this magic ring and I'm gonna start pulling from these stitches on the second round of my nose. You can just double check that you're centering it between the legs. All right, and there is our nose sewn on. Now we just need to weave in the end. All right, all that is left to do is add his eyes. So we are going to go ahead and cut some ovals out of felt. For the white felt, I cut them to be about 1.5 inches long and about 1 inch wide. And then the black pieces were about 3/4 of an inch. So again, just trying to make the best oval shapes you can. Truly, sometimes I feel like this part takes me longer than the crocheting, but this is sort of the shape that we're going for. Okay, I have my 2 whites cut out, and I like to go ahead and glue these on and give them a little time to dry before I add the black pieces on. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue those on. This is the type of glue that I like to use. I found this in the Michaels checkout aisle once. It's the Gorilla Clear Grip, and it works for metal, glass, fabric, wood. And I really like this one because it dries so quickly, but it doesn't dry as like hard as hot glue does. I feel like this still gives the plushie a soft feeling. Like I can't really even feel that this is glued on. And the glue kind of flexes a little bit with the yarn. So I really prefer working with this. I still do use hot glue for some projects, but I definitely prefer this, so highly recommend. Okay, so I placed those on fairly close together. Okay, and while we're giving that a little bit more time to dry, I'm gonna go ahead and cut out the pupils. And there is our completed Q*bert. Now my other one has a clone. Oh my gosh, I think my tension has changed over the years, guys. So cute. Love it. These will both be available on my Etsy if you would like to adopt one of them. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment below if you have any questions.